let's get into our final team of the day. Perennial champions of the division, but in recent years have been relegated to bottom feeders. This is a very strange position that the Patriots, anyone who's watched the Patriots over the last 20 years, is found themselves in. But for you, I mean, the outlook for New England is definitely interesting. Definitely a bit of a transition year. But it looks like you have a really high hopes on their defense. Could you kind of expand a little bit onto what you like out of this defensive front?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a top 8 defense in the NFL. And a lot of people will look at how they did last year being a bottom 5 defense in almost every category and say, well, how can they be that much better? Well, for starters, they're bringing back a lot of guys who were hurt last year, namely Christian Gonzalez, who is one of the best corners in the NFL. He was hurt a good amount his rookie year, played a good amount last year. I believe he dealt with some injuries, but he's coming back fully healthy. And if we take away the Gerard Mayo mishap of 2024, and we look at the post-Brady Belichick era defenses from 2020 to 2023, they were 7th in EPA per play, 10th in success rate, 5th in dropback or EPA per dropback, 9th in dropback success rate in terms of stuffing passes or stopping passes from succeeding. They were 10th in rush EPA per play and 13th in rush success rate. They were top 10 in every category except rush defense in success rate, and they were still in the top half of the league.
Yep.
So you're looking at a defense who, before Gerard Mayo came in, was really, really good, regardless of not having Brady and being on the field a lot more than they're used to. Granted, this roster is much different than what it was in the Belichick days, but when you look at Mike Vrabel coming in, we talked about roster maximizers with the Jets. Mike Vrabel is one of the best maximizers in the NFL. Now, can he get them to get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl? We'll see in a couple of years. He couldn't do it with the Titans, but we'll see if the Patriots have a little bit more patience with him.
Yeah.
But he just went and added a bunch of defensive talent and guys that are going to play a ton of snaps, 400 to 500 plus, if not more. And the number one guy on that list is Milton Williams, who we talked about Moro Ojomo last episode. Milton Williams is just as effective as he is and played more snaps, right? If you look at any of those metrics that Moro was ranked near the top and in pass rush, Milton Williams was at the top for the entire season in those categories and really took off last year. And I think pairing him with Christian Barmore, Keon White, a couple of other guys we'll talk about later in the episode, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities like he had with the Eagles last year. So I thought that was the best signing they had. Robert Spillane, who is an incredible run-defending linebacker. And he's dropped off a little bit in coverage, but he's still okay in that area. Really good addition to the linebacker room. Carlton Davis, if he can stay healthy, is going to be an awesome cornerback too, opposite Christian Gonzalez. And I think they're going to be one of the best corner tandems going into 2025. Harold Landry, he's an edge. He's going to be more run support. He doesn't have any nuance as a pass rusher, but he is a damn good run defender. He's going to be in for those run defending snaps that they want to really push the envelope and drive the line of scrimmage back. And again, I think he'll get opened up more with that interior D-line really working well together. And then they drafted Joshua Farmer, who is decent in the run and decent in the pass rush game. I don't think he's going to start, but I think he's going to get a good amount of snaps in rotation. And we're probably looking at a 300 to 400 snap rookie season, which is really good considering the depth on this roster. And this defense, I think, is just going to be nuts with Vrabel and Terrell Williams rejuvenating this system and bringing in the guys that they did.
Yeah, and, I feel like you could probably read into this a little too much, like more than it's worth. But Mike Vrabel is a guy that won 3 Super Bowls as a player on the New England Patriots. And then once he went into coaching, he became obviously a linebacker coach, then became a defensive coordinator, before finally becoming a head coach at a few different stops around the NFL. And now he's the head coach of the Patriots, taking on the reins of a team that he won 3 titles with. So how much do you feel like that kind of bodes well for Pats fans? I mean, do you think that like the decision to hire a guy that played under Belichick kind of really can help satisfy them a little bit?
I think it can. And I think it's there's levels to it, right? Because you could be a player on a Super Bowl winning roster and be as, productive and contributing towards that as Mike Vrabel was. Obviously caught 2 touchdowns, played really good defense in those Super Bowls as well. That in and of itself is a really good background to have. I think when you become a coach, it's completely different because you don't want to be like Belichick, right? You want to have your own culture, you want to have your own identity, and you want to have people buy in. And that's the part that a lot of people struggle to miss, because if Super Bowl winning players move into coaching was the answer to get teams to Super Bowl, every single team in the NFL would be hiring former players from Super Bowls to be their head coaches that have some interest in coaching, right? That would just be the end all be all, but it's not. That's not how it works. You have, former players who were kind of just role players who are awesome coaches. And you have guys who were really good players who are really good coaches. And you have the other side of that. You have players who sucked who are bad coaches and players who were really good that are bad coaches as well. So you can't just go into the former player bucket, former Super Bowl player bucket and say, yeah, this is a Super Bowl winning guy who can get us to Super Bowl and win. He got really close in Tennessee. But Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. You were up 10-0 and you can't stop him, right? That's going to happen, right? He's a generational talent. Yep. If this team wants to make a Super Bowl, you're going to run into him again at some point in your first 3 years here. Because I think if Drake May takes those steps that he's going to, they continue to improve this offensive line and his preceding weapons, and this defense sticks together, this could be a Super Bowl roster in 2 years. 2026, this could be a team fighting for a Super Bowl next year. As long as Vrabel has the progression with this team that he did with the Titans early on in his tenure. And he had Ryan Tannehill throwing the football. He doesn't have rocket arm, uber athlete, top-tier prospect Drake May throwing the football, right? This is a completely different way he can run and tailor the offense than he ever could with Ryan Tannehill, who was good in those 2 to 3 years with the Titans when they were competitive, not so much the rest of his career, right? So I think that's really going to play into it of it's not just the fact that he won a Super Bowl, it's how he elevates rosters that is really going to help push this team forward.
Yeah. Hearing that the Patriots could be a Super Bowl contender by 2026 is not what I wanted to hear today. I still have a little lingering trauma from the Brady years, but we move forward. Drake May, let's talk about him heading into year
man.
2. What do you like out of him? Where do you think he could make a jump? And what do you really want to see him get over in year 2?
I just want to see him do better under pressure. We talked about under pressure quarterback play when we were talking about Jalen Hurts and top 10 QB dilemma last episode, right? Drake May, he was not supposed to play last year. He kind of got thrown to the wolves a little bit. And his first game was against a damn good Texans defense, which I was at that game. Seeing Drake May play live was really neat to watch. And this is when CJ Stroud was still really good. CJ Stroud, and he still is really good. But he definitely took a step back as a passer after the offensive line kind of shattered last year. Moving away from CJ Stroud to Drake May was playing at a comparable level to him in that game. He was still making some mistakes, as all rookies do. But I think the biggest thing for him is that he actually has a receiving core that matches that skill set. He's not going to be relying just on Kayshon Boutte or Demario Douglas or Hunter Henry or the ghost of Jalen Polk, which sucks to say he's only a year into his career. We're already calling him the ghost of Jalen Polk of what he was in college, right? This year he's got Stephon Diggs as his true X, and Stephon Diggs coming off it. He looked really good at the beginning of last year until that ACL tear, and he's been looking really good during camp. So he's probably not going to lose a step. He might a little bit, but he's still a really good X receiver. I think Kyle Williams is going to end up starting. He's super shifty, very good nuanced route runner, and he does some damage when he gets the ball in his hands. So if they can get him moving on some motion or getting him in shift sets where there's some double motion going on, this is someone who could easily get open against most DBs in the NFL. Then you can plug in Demario Douglas in the slot. He played 80% of his snaps in the slot last year. Obviously, you don't want someone in the slot 90 to 100% of the time, but I think he can keep that volume up, especially now that he doesn't have to play on the outside as much. And then they're going to have a really deep receiving room, and there's going to be some tough cuts coming up. They're going to have to get rid of they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys outside of the 3 I already mentioned. They might keep 6, but the reality is that the next 7 guys I'm going to name, only 2 of them are probably going to make the roster. And that's 2 of either Matt Collins, Kayshon Boutte, who I mentioned, Javon Baker, who was good at UCF, was not that good last year, but seems to be making a jump. Rookie Ethan Chisholm, who they love. Kendrick Bourne, who's just a veteran body, but I think he's going to be one of the first guys to get cut in that room. And unfortunately, Jalen Polk, who I was super high on in last year's class, just between the injuries and not playing well when he did get on the field last year and not being able to participate fully in training camp this year, I think he's going to be a cut candidate, which sucks for someone who is, going into year 2. But maybe they're able to bring him back on the practice squad. Maybe they put him on the IR so they can stash him for another year. But not looking good. But if I had to pick, I think they're going to keep Kayshon Boutte and probably Efton Chisholm. Matt Collins is they have people that can do what Matt Collins does. Same thing with Kendrick Bourne. They have guys that can do what Kendrick Bourne does. And if they keep a 6th, you're looking at Javon Baker or Jalen Polk being one of the guys they keep because they get the veteran present with Stephon and arguably Demario Davis as well. They kind of get the veteran aspect from them. And then with that, Hunter Henry at tight end, Austin Hooper at tight end, you have other receiving members who are savvy veterans in this league.
And then on this team, who do you got for a dark horse?
Kayvon Chason, edge. He spent last season with the Raiders, and from week 13 to week 18, when he got the bulk of his snaps, he looked really good. In that span, out of edge rushers who got 100 snaps, he was 10th in pass rush grade at an 80.3, and he had a 10.6 pressure rate, which is okay. Like, we'll take that. That's good. But he's not going to be asked to start. He's going to be asked to fill in for Harold Landry in pass rush situations, which that's why they got Caleb on to be a pass rusher. Mm-hmm. He's 9th in pass rush grade against true pass sets at 79.8. That's really good. And he was 10th in stops and TFL, or he was tied 9th in stops and TFLs with 11 of those. So even though he's going to be used on passing downs, he can assist in the run game and provide some juice there if needed. He's also a former first rounder who was key, and we were talking about those college championship runs. He was key on that LSU 2019 championship run, which is one of the best college teams that we've ever seen and rivaled that 0-1 Miami team. So I think getting someone like him to help rush the passer, and he's kind of getting looked at as just a depth piece. I think he's someone that's going to play 400, 500 snaps because he has a pass rush juice and he's a decent run defender. So if Harold Landry's not cutting it, you can plug him in and you're not going to miss a step with him.
Yeah. And so the real burning question for the Patriots, you mentioned 2026, 2027 being some years to target. But what about this season? Do you think the Patriots have a shot at the playoffs this year?
I don't think so. I know they have a little bit of a tougher schedule than most of the other teams in the NFL, if not definitely one of the tougher ones. I think I saw somewhere they had the toughest strength of schedule. But again, that's based on last year, not based on current rosters this year, which is why I say it might be on the tougher side. I think some of the teams are lost some key players, but I don't think playoffs should be in the picture this year. I think the goal should be develop Drake May as much as you can and let this defense go to work and let this defense get some chemistry, stay healthy, rotate guys consistently, even if that means you're going to lose 1 or 2 more games than you normally do. Mm-hmm. Keep this team healthy because they have some good players, but some of these good players do have injury history, and you want to keep them healthy as long as you can, especially going into 2026. So rotate the defense, keep them effective, let Drake May develop with a super savvy veteran receiver like Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry, utilize the young guys, and let this run game take off. We didn't even talk about the run game. Travion Henderson is probably going to lead this team in rush snaps. Like, Ramondre Stevenson was good a couple of years ago. He's not a true bell cow, and I think Travion just provides more home run ability, more juice as a pass protector, and as a rusher overall. And that is also going to help Drake May take that next step, is leaning on this rushing attack.